Good morning, guys. I hope you're having a fantastic day. It is pouring rain today in Los Angeles, which means it's time to drift the Plaid. As of right now, unfortunately, you can only partially deactivate traction control by using slip start right here, but that won't actually allow you to drift. Now, unfortunately, the Model S Plaid doesn't have track mode like the Model 3. I imagine they're gonna do an over-the-air update so that I can adjust the power distribution, make it 100% rear-wheel drive or 100% front-wheel drive, and also reduce traction control all the way to 0 like you can on the Model 3. But there is a solution. Headed out to meet up with some buddies, find some cool drift spots, and take traction off. For those who are unfamiliar, it only rains about 4 or 5 days a year in Los Angeles. I've literally gotten so many text messages today, it's almost funny, from friends. The second that it rains, every car enthusiast in LA is like, it's time to drift, let's go. I really like the new taillights on Mercedes SUVs. Those are sick. So apparently I can remove the wheel speed sensor in here, and that'll disable traction control and stability control. Well, I couldn't fit my arms in between the wheel and the wheel well, so we're headed to my friend's house to take off the wheel so I can reach those wheel speed sensors. My friend Idolo got a sweet E46 M3 in a manual. Weird seeing rain out in Malibu. That is the biggest rainbow I've ever seen. Oh my God. The end of the rainbow, the pot of gold. So unfortunately, we weren't able to find a 21mm lug nut remover to take the wheel off at the local hardware store. So we tried jacking the car up, which gave us a lot more visibility into the wheel well. And we're thinking the wheel speed sensor is right, well, you can't really see it, but it's right in here. Let's see. Look at this Tesla squad right here. And then we got a guest. Finally found a 21mm lug nut remover tool so I can take off the wheel. Now to jack the car up, we go to suspension, put the suspension on very high, and then you go over to service and click jack mode. All right, talk about unexpected. This is the most challenging car to take traction control off on of any vehicle I've ever driven, including the Prius that requires some sort of PlayStation cheat code to turn it off. Unfortunately, slip start doesn't work for drifting and burnout, and dyno mode doesn't work in the new Model S Plaid either. They're gonna come out with the track mode like they have on the Model 3 Performance for the Plaid so that I can switch it to full rear wheel drive and turn traction control all the way off. But obviously I wanna be able to do that prior to that over the air update. And knowing Tesla, it's probably delayed more than I'd like it to be. I've driven around so much trying to figure this out that I'm almost out of charge. This is pretty impressive that it counts 5 cones, and there are actually exactly 5 cones right out there. Clean all black C8. I can't wait till we start seeing Z06s out on the road. Another day, another gas station, and a Tesla. Not gonna lie, that Kia Sorento looks kind of badass from the rear. This doesn't happen often, but every single charging station is full right now. So I gotta wait. Boom, open charge port. Just for reference, that was literally only 1 minute of waiting. Of course, this is the one stall that's literally broken. For some reason, it's not charging whatsoever. All right, damn you. So I just had a great conversation with another YouTuber, Chillin' with Chet. If you guys haven't seen his videos, they're insane. Make sure to check him out. He actually got a Tesla Model S Plaid and decided to see if he could drive it underwater. Like legitimately underwater, not just there were a couple of feet of water. But inadvertently, when he drove it through the water, it actually took traction control completely off of his Tesla, and now he can do burnouts and drifts, so on and so forth. Unfortunately though, he didn't disconnect the rear wheel sensor. However, he did talk to Unplugged Performance, and it turns out the wheel sensor is actually on the rear wheels now, instead of the fronts like they were on the old car. So we're gonna check that out and see if we can do it. Doing this at a charging station is absolutely hilarious, but got the car in the air, time to pull this wheel off. All right guys, so it wasn't present on the front wheel well, which would have been nice to know yesterday, but upon looking in the rear wheel well behind the rotor, here it is, that wheel speed sensor I need to disconnect. Oh my God, I've got it disconnected, guys. Took off the other side's wheel speed sensor too, just in case. So far there's no warning lights, which is a little odd. Let's see. And somehow, after all of that, traction control is still on. I do not understand, but Elon 1, vehicle version 0. I want to drift this thing. I don't get it. That actually really bums me out. And I really hope that they come out with the track mode update soon, because not being able to do burnouts and donuts, I know obviously it's ridiculous in a 1,000 horsepower car. No, you don't need to be able to do that. But the fact that it limits you from doing it makes you want to do it all that much more. What sports cars do you know that don't allow you to turn traction control off? I can't think of any of them. That is gorgeous. I just posted on my Instagram at Vehicle Virgins for a Q&A. So for the rest of this video, I'm going to be answering the questions that you guys asked me on Instagram. All right, let's dive right into it. The one day I decide to not put a case on my phone is, of course, the one day I drop it, and now this thing's obliterated. Lovely. So we're gonna start with Tesla-specific questions, and then we will go to more general questions that you guys had. Hi, Parker, would you choose Rimac Navara over your Plaid? Now, I mean, obviously, yes, it's a multi-million-dollar hypercar over a Plaid. Now, interestingly, though, if you factor in the price, yes, the Rimac is incredibly impressive, but I think the Plaid is almost more impressive given the fact that it's 20 times less expensive. And no, it's not quite as fast, but basically it is. And you got extra seats in the back. Is your Tesla leased? Nope, I purchased this one. Are you getting wheels for the Plaid? Now, I got the upgraded wheels solely because they said you needed them in order to get the 200-mile-an-hour top speed unlock. Apparently, now they're changing things, and you might need to have the carbon ceramic brakes along with some other things in order to get it. I'm a little bit disappointed, but yes, eventually I am going to be changing the wheels to something more special. Are you getting used to the yoke? And how much battery did that 100-mile-an-hour pull take? Yes and no. I'm super used to the yoke at low speeds and around town, just average driving. I'm still not used to it yet in the canyons. I'm not a big fan of the way the grips are in intense situations where your hands start sweating. It just doesn't feel as sturdy as a normal wheel does. And also the feel of the car at the limit is not the best with the traction control in its current setup. When they come out with track mode, I think everything's going to change, but I am curious to see what this car would feel like with a normal steering wheel. But for 99.9% of people who aren't going to be doing track driving in the Plaid or intense canyon driving, the yoke is totally fine. What is the most major modification you would consider to your Plaid? I'd consider carbon ceramic brakes, definitely a wing, maybe stripping the whole interior. That's probably the limit of what I would go. Wide body? You never know. Maybe. What cool feature do you think is missing from the software? No ambient lighting, that's super lame, and no ability to adjust traction control. Also lame. Would you rather have the Tesla or the Audi RS6? Now, if I had no cars at all, let's say eliminate the McLaren, I would have the Audi RS6 over this because I don't think I could only have an electric car. But having currently have the 600 LT, I'd choose the Plaid over the RS6. It's apples to oranges, of course, with an internal combustion engine car. The RS6 looks a bit cooler, but honestly, I enjoy the Plaid more than the RS6. It destroys it acceleration-wise, and I don't know. I'm really feeling the Plaid right now. Is the build quality really as bad as it's made out to be? I'd say absolutely not. Other than their initial delivery quality, they need some better inspection for pre-delivery inspection to make sure there's no weird little issues with the trim, so on and so forth. But honestly, the quality of the car has been totally fine. Really haven't had any issues, and the interior feels way, way higher quality than previous generations. How far can you really go on 0 miles of charge? That's a really good question. Honestly, I don't know the exact answer to that, but probably 15 to 20 miles. I wouldn't test it because if you do run out, you can't just call AAA to have them bring a tank of gas and fill up your car and you're on your way. You actually have to get a tow to a charging station, which is just a total pain in the butt. Moving on to non-Tesla specific questions. Let's see what you guys had to say. What is a car you've always wanted to drive but never have? I'd say the LaFerrari and the 918 Spider. Having driven the P1 and having a lot of people said that the P1 was their favorite handling of the Holy Trinity, I'd really like to, you know, experience that for myself. So I'd say LaFerrari and 918 are definitely some cars that I've always wanted to drive. I mean, there is a laundry list of epic cars that I haven't driven yet. Ferrari F40 being one of them, a McLaren F1. If any of you guys have any of those, let me know. Which car would you most love to bring back to the channel? Honestly, probably the Verde Mantis green supercharged Huracan. You guys loved that car. I basically built the vast majority of my subscriber growth with that vehicle. Had so many amazing memories. It was incredibly reliable and an absolute blast. That being said, at this point, having owned 2 Huracans already, I don't think I would get that car again, but you never know. In the future, it could be fun. Any future collaborations? Honestly, working on that right now. I've been talking to a whole bunch of YouTubers, and hopefully in the near future, we're gonna have some epic collabs. How are you feeling physically and mentally? Really appreciate this question, honestly. I'm feeling really great with both. I've been eating a lot healthier, been going to the gym a bit more, so I've been doing my best at losing weight, and I'm feeling better in that regard. Mentally, doing a lot better too, prioritizing that over everything else. But thank you so much for asking about that. The car you regret selling and buying. Man, this is a hard one. I kind of regret buying the Speciale Aperta only because I lost so much money on that car. But I also don't, because it was one of the coolest experiences of any cars that I've ever owned. One car though that I regret half buying was the SVJ. I ordered an SVJ. I put a deposit in on the car before it came out. I ended up losing 25 grand of that deposit, which was a total bummer. And I didn't get the car because they made more of them than I thought. And then they came out with the Aventador Ultime, and I thought, okay, I made the right decision. It's totally going to go down in value. And then boom, this car world has gone nuts recently. I could have got the car for 600 grand MSRP and probably sold it for 900 grand. So yeah, I mean, I would have liked to have driven an SVJ around and made $300,000. That would have been awesome. But you know, hindsight's 2020. What is your favorite racetrack that you have ever driven? Really good question. I want to say overall favorite experience on the track was probably Estoril, which is in Portugal. I got flown out by McLaren, got to drive the new McLaren Senna, which was the craziest track car I have experienced with 2 seats. The BAC Mono being the craziest track car I've driven with 1 seat. Road legal cars I'm talking about, not actual race cars. But the experience on Estoril was amazing. I love Sonoma Raceway. That's a great one. Laguna Seca is amazing, and Thunderhill. But yeah, I'd say those are my top couple of tracks that I've driven. How much have you spent on cars with mods in your life? This is a question that I don't even want to think about because it's more than I should have. The car world is a disease. Being obsessed with cars is literally an addiction. There are much worse addictions to have than being obsessed with cars. But yeah, I've spent way too much money on cars and mods. Would you ever get a Murcielago SV? Honestly, that was one of my favorite cars of all time, especially when the Top Gear episode came out with the Murcielago SV. That thing is insane. I don't know. They're going up and up in value, that's for sure. Have you ever considered buying a motorcycle? I've thought about this a million times. Buying a motorcycle would be cool. I could expand the channel into doing some motorcycle-related vlogs. Honestly, I'm nervous about it. I know that I'd buy a 600cc bike and everything would be fine as I'm learning the layout of the bike and what it's like. And then, you know, for 15 or 20 grand, you can get a pretty damn fast bike. I'd probably do that, and I don't know, the rest is history. I don't know anyone who's had a bike for an extended period of time that hasn't gotten into a really bad crash, and I just don't want to do it. Do a vlog with the Dobre brothers or Jake Paul. Honestly, I have been talking to the Dobre brothers about doing a collab. I think that'd be cool because they do have a car-related channel. I did a bunch of videos with Jake Paul back in the day, and you guys literally destroyed me in the comment sections and were like, never do this ever again whatsoever. Even though they all got a ton of views, but you guys made it pretty clear that you don't want to see that content. Of all the cars you recently sold, do you regret selling any of them? Honestly, the one that I missed the most was the 812 Superfast. That thing sounded so good, and it was just, it's such a different car to the 600 LT. I love the 600 LT for shorter drives on the weekend. I love how raw and nimble it feels. That's kind of my favorite type of car. But the 812 Superfast was awesome for things like rallies or long distance drives or everyday driving. So having that daily drivable supercar with the V12, I definitely missed that vehicle. Well guys, there you have it, a little Q&A action. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Like always, please browse the channel and subscribe. I look forward to seeing you next video.